Hi, second grade. How are you guys doing today? I hope and pray that your family is staying well and healthy, and I hope you're ready to learn some more history today. We're going to read in chapter 41. It's called Explorations in the North. You guys remember Christopher Columbus and Amerigo Vespucci? We already studied them this year. They were also explorers who Christopher Columbus, as you know, he was trying to find a quicker way to India. He thought he had found it, but in fact, he found land in North America. Amerigo Vespucci, same thing. He found land in North America, but he knew that it was new land there. So today we're going to learn about a new explorer, and his name is John Cabot. I have to think how to pronounce his name. Cabot. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Chapter 41. The New Found Land. After Columbus and Amerigo Vespucci sailed across the Atlantic, other Europeans followed. The Spanish and Portuguese planted their colonies in Central and South America. The English did their best to settle in Virginia, and further up north in North America, another colony began to form on the island of Newfoundland. This colony wasn't Spanish, Portuguese, or English. It was filled with settlers from all different nations. It had many different names and many different languages, but like the English, Newfoundland, these names all mean new land. Today, Newfoundland is part of the country of Canada. And I want you to take a look at this map here. The red part is Newfoundland, and you can see what country is Newfoundland part of. That's right, Canada. Canada's pretty big, isn't it, in relation to the States of America there, right below it. And also find Great Britain and France on your map. What continent are they on? That's right, they are on the continent of Europe. And what ocean do you have to cross to get from Newfoundland to Europe? Or Europe to Newfoundland? The Atlantic Ocean, very good. Okay, let's continue reading. Hey kiddos, I forgot to mention, if you have your student page 165, you're welcome to color that as you listen. All right, I'm going to continue. The colony on Newfoundland, which was often known by its French name, Terre Neuve, got its start when a merchant named John Cabot sailed north from England and bumped into the North American coast. John Cabot was a little bit like the people who would follow him to Newfoundland. He was from several different countries. He was born in Italy, tried living in Spain, and then came to England. Here he convinced the English to help him pay for a journey of exploration. Like Columbus, John Cabot wanted to find a quick way to get to India. He thought that if he sailed north, he might find the fastest possible to the east. In the year 1497, 5 years after Columbus landed in America, John Cabot began his own journey into the North Atlantic Ocean. He had only 20 men and a single small ship, the Matthew, but his journey the water was filled with large fish leaping around the ship's bow. "Quick," one said, "lower a basket down." They tied a rope to a nearby wicker basket and dragged it through the water beside the ship. When they pulled it up, you guessed it, it was full of codfish, perfect for eating. This was the easiest fishing they had ever done. John Cabot beached his ship, climbed ashore, and announced, "I claim this land for England." Then he sailed back to England and reported, "I have found the shortest route to the northeast coast of Asia. There are so many fish in the water that England's fishermen could feed the whole country. Now I want to return with more ships and look for the spices of the East." Of course, John Cabot hadn't reached Asia. He had landed on the northern part of North America, but he was sure that he had accomplished his goal. The following spring, he left England with 5 ships to finish his journey to the east. Months later, one of the ships limped back to England, tattered by storms. It had never reached North America. Winds had driven it off course, and its captain had decided to give up the journey. John Cabot and the other 4 ships had disappeared entirely. No one ever saw or heard from them again. Probably the ships sank in the North Atlantic Ocean, but even though Cabot never made it back to his new land, English fishermen had heard stories about the swarms of fish in Cabot's new-found land. They set out with their own boats to follow John Cabot's route. When these fishermen came back with the holds of their ships stuffed full of fish, word spread quickly. Here's a map again so you can look at where everything is. Other fishermen from France, Spain, Portugal, and other European countries followed them. They fished around the island of Newfoundland and even ventured into the rivers that ran through the vast expanse of land that lay just beyond the island. Many fishermen built huts on the island of Newfoundland and stayed all summer long. They built wooden platforms called flakes, where they salted and dried the fish so that their catch wouldn't spoil. Little fishing villages sprang up around Newfoundland's best harbor. Merchants came to Newfoundland to sell food, ropes, iron hooks and harpoons, clothes, shoes, and medicines to the fishermen. This fishing settlement became known as St. John's. It was the first European colony in the country that we now call Canada. But the colony of St. John's wasn't exactly like the other colonies in North and South America. The fishermen who lived in St. John's only stayed in their colony during the spring and summer. When the breezes that blew across the island began to grow colder, St. John's settlers started packing their fish, their tools, and clothes, and all of their fishing tackle into their ships for the journey home. No one tried to stay all winter on the island of Newfoundland. Icy winds would blow across St. John's, sucking the warmth from the little wooden huts. Fog would descend on the settlement, so thick that one colonist couldn't see another across the street. Snow would cover the houses, the flakes, and the merchant shops. The nights would grow longer and longer. Huge, unpredictable storms would sweep down from the north and cover the island, lashing at the harbors and shores. Cakes of ice would form in the waters surrounding Newfoundland. Ships still anchored off Newfoundland's shore would be frozen into the water. St. John's was a fantastic place to fish, but not to live. For many years, no one would stay on this northern island all year long. The first settlement in Canada remained a warm weather colony. Ooh, doesn't that look cold? I don't think I'd want to stay there during the winter. Okay, a couple of questions, you guys. What was the name of the new North American colony that was filled with settlers from all different nations? Do you remember its name? All right, if you answered Newfoundland, you're right. Good job. Next question. John Cabot had landed off the coast of North America, but he didn't realize it. Where did he think he had landed? If you said he thought he had landed on the coast of Asia, you're correct. I want you to look at this map so you know Canada's right above North America, so find that. find the land right above North America, and that's Canada. That's where he had actually landed. And then I want you to find Asia, all the way on the other side. So if you started on the orange part in Europe where John started, if you started on the orange part and you started going towards North America, see, he thought that he had made it to Asia, and you can see why. If he's going to the left, he didn't know that that whole big continent of North America was there yet. Who ended up settling in Newfoundland, and where were they from? Who ended up settling in Newfoundland? What people? And where were those type of people from? Okay, guys, the answer is fishermen were the type of people that settled in Newfoundland, and they were from many different countries. They ended up settling in, those are the people that ended up settling in Newfoundland. All right, another question. And what was the name of the new colony? What did it become known as? What did that new colony become known as? A little fishing village that I showed you pictures of, those last few pictures. What was it called? Okay, if you said St. John's, then you're correct. It was called, the little fishing village was called St. John's, and it was in the settlement Newfoundland, which was in Canada. Okay, guys, so hopefully you learned something about John Cabot today, that he was another brave explorer that discovered Newfoundland in the country of Canada. Unfortunately, we don't know what happened to John Cabot other than his ship probably sank in the Atlantic Ocean when he went out to explore some more, which is why these explorers are such brave men. They never know if they're going to make it back or not. Well, I hope you guys had a great time listening today, and have a great rest of your day. And I don't think I'll get to talk to you until after Easter. So everybody have a happy Easter, and looking forward to seeing you again. Bye, guys.